Hey everybody, it's Jorg. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. I wanted to make this video because a number of people are looking to do scouting trips this summer or just simply holiday or vacation in Lisbon. And I wanted to talk about places that are the most visited in Lisbon and around Lisbon for attractions, and just talk to you about where to go and maybe when to go, when not to go, and just some things to think about, because I probably had over 20 people reach out and say between June, July, and August, they're coming. So they're going to hit Lisbon in the summer. Where should they go see things? When should they go see things? When should they stay away? And the difficulty here is I'm not going to have all the answers for you, but I just want to hit on a few areas in Lisbon, tell you what's there and when probably the most amount of people are there, so you might be able to work your trip and your itinerary around when the rest of the world seems to show up at these attractions. So first things first, I'm going to start in Belém. Belém itself isn't necessarily an attraction, but there are four things that many people see. So it is a top destination in Lisbon, and there you have Jerónimo's Monastery, you have the Monument to the Discoveries, Belém Tower, and the Pastéis de Belém store, which is where the pastel de nata custard tart was born. So those places are all the number one place I think that many people do tours from, especially bus tours. Now, Jerónimo's Monastery is open at 10, Belém Tower 10. Monument to the Discoveries, you can go outside whenever, but if you wanted to kind of go in and do the observation deck, I believe that's at 10 as well. The Pastéis de Belém store opens at 8. So if you're going to do Belém and you want to take photos, let's say, or have time where you don't see lines of people everywhere, your best bet is to get into that area maybe as early as 7 a.m. to 8:30 if you're looking to take photos. Now, obviously, you can't get into many of these sites, but if you want to just enjoy it without everyone else being there, that may be the time. I will say specifically for Pastéis de Belém store opens at 8. I would get there between 8 and 9. The reason I say that is that they will have a little line set up, much like you get at the airport when you're waiting to get into security. You have all these switchbacks that you have to walk through. By 9 a.m., there will already be a line out the door waiting to get these pastel de natas. And by between 10 and 11, there is a park that Jerónimo's Monastery and Pastéis de Belém is on the north side of it, and then on the south side along the water is Belém Tower and the Monument to the Discoveries. That park between 10 and 11 gets loaded up with buses, and that's when the bus tours start. So if you're able to get a pastel de nata before, let's say 9:30, that's great. Afterwards, you may be waiting 45 minutes to an hour to get one. So if you're going to wait that long, get a dozen. They're not necessarily our favorite ones, but if you're going to wait that long in line, make sure it's worth your while. Now, when I mention the buses specifically, you will see when you go to Jerónimo's Monastery, there may be a 45-minute to 90-minute wait to get into that place specifically. Anytime, and this goes for the rest of the video, any of the attractions that I'm going to mention, if you can get into Jerónimo's Monastery, buy an advance ticket, the Belém Tower or Monument to the Discoveries, if you want to go up to the observation deck, purchase tickets in advance wherever you can, or if you're looking to do, let's say, a Get Your Guide or Viator tour, that may be a way to be able to try to skip the lines, because if you're just showing up one day and I just want to get 2 tickets to the Jerónimo's Monastery, you may be waiting an hour or more to get in, and then that just eats up the amount of time that you need to get to the other places in Belém, as well as the rest of Lisbon for your tour or your trip there. Belém Tower, it's a small compact place, so sometimes the line can also be up to an hour to get in. The Monument to the Discoveries, not many people go to the observation deck. it's a nice view, but I don't know that you necessarily need it. Most people are are on the outside, walking around, looking at the sculptures on the monument. And then the Pastes de Belém, again, if it's something that you're looking to do, just know if you're going to get there after 10 a.m., it's going to get messy. And just as the bus tours keep coming throughout the day in Belém, you're going to have a hard time getting around to those places. So advance tickets whenever possible. Next place I'm going to hit is the castle, the São Jorge Castle. That is a place that it has an excellent Miradouro, or an overlook there. So as many people, when you're looking up Google images of the place, there are some great images of the castle itself, but many people take photos of the overlook and the view of Lisbon, and that's often why they're waiting and paying the admission just to get that. There's also some peacocks there. There's some cool things to see for sure. But that also is a place that it opens at 9 a.m. and runs from 9 to 9. It's going through the Alfama, snaking up to the entrance. It can start as early as 8:30, a little bit of a backup. So if you're going to go, I would try to go early, between, let's say, 9 and 11, or later in the day, and let's say 6 p.m. on. Some people hit the evening because they want to get a sunset if it's a good day, to be able to get a beautiful shot and to be up there during that time frame. So that can also be a difficult time. But I always say, if you can get there sooner than later, the midday is again where bus tours and people get let off, and cruise ships. One of the first places the cruise ships hit is the Alfama, as they're walking from the cruise docks into the Baixa area, and they'll go through the Alfama, and maybe that's the first place that they'll hit on their tour that day. So just make sure that if you're going, I would try to get there right at 9. And again, if you can get an advance ticket where you know exactly when you're going to show up there and enter, that's the best way to go, as opposed to just showing up that day. The next place I'm going to hit, Tram 28. It's below, it's in the Martin Moniz area. It's below the Alfama in the Baixa. And that opens at 8:30 to 11. And that probably is the top attraction or thing that people want to do when they come to Lisbon, whether it be for a day or for a week. Now, it's interesting. On a few trips to Lisbon before we moved, we didn't do Tram 28, and the reason why is the line was so long. So I will say this, as far as doing it, it's cool to be able to do the ride. I will say it is a very cool ride, and I certainly think that you should do it. The difficulty is that I would try to get there first thing, and often first thing means, although they're starting at 8:30, you may need to get there at 7:45 to 8 to get in line. I met a couple of clients a few months ago right across the street from the starting point, and at that point, that was around noon or 12 p.m. on a given day. There was already a 90-minute wait, and the person that was taking tickets and coordinating, telling people kind of the wait time, we're saying 90 minutes up to 120. So hour and a half to 2 hours just to get on this. So middle of the day, definitely do not do that, because that's the heart of when everybody seems to get done with other tours or seem to want to do that tour. Again, earlier the better to do Tram 28. And then lastly, I'm going to hit outside of Lisbon, because a top attraction, or the top half day or day trip from Lisbon, has always been Sintra. People want to go to the palaces. So there's Penha Palace, which often is referred to as like a Disney castle or a Disney palace because of the exterior colors to it. There's also Penha, the National Palace, that's right in the heart of the town of Sintra. There's also Quinta de Regulaira. That place as well is a top visited. Those are, I think, the 3 most visited palaces or grounds within Sintra that people want to see. So on a given day, the tours can ebb and flow. But again, with those particular places, Peña Palace is open from 9 to 6. The Quinta de Regulera is 10 to 5:30. And then the Centro National Palace is 9:30 to 6. Get a ticket in advance. Try to get a ticket for earlier in the day for a couple of reasons. One, if it's a nice day and you're looking to take photos and you want some good views without having to rub shoulders with a lot of people and be able to truly maybe enjoy it without having all of the rooms packed full of people, earlier the better. And again, book the ticket in advance. The middle and latter part of the day is when more people get to Sintra or start visiting the palaces. They may spend maybe the morning at the National Palace in the village or in the town center, but then work their way to Peña or the Quinta de Regulera later in the day. And in those places, it can be jam-packed where you're like sardines trying to get through the rooms, and it's very difficult, and it just becomes stressful and frustrating because you're trying to enjoy a trip or your vacation, and sometimes you can't do so because again, once more people pile in, it just becomes very difficult to get around. And especially on a hot summer day, it does get hot in Lisbon, get frustrated pretty easily. So I wanted to hit those main places. The takeaways are: get there early, get a advance ticket and or a time ticket. If you don't want to do it on yourself, the DIY, and you want to be able to get in without having to wait an hour or two into a venue, I would advise doing like a Viator, Get Your Guide, some sort of a third-party company that can skip the line and get you right in, as a way to be able to enjoy your time in Lisbon and maximize the time that you have while you're there. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video, and enjoy your travels.